Guys, I've told my horror story before with S Corp clients, and how do you know what reasonable comp is? My horror story is when they went after that CPA who was a friend of mine for $125,000, arguing that he knew and that he knew better and that he should have made sure his clients took reasonable comp. I'm a huge fan of RC reports. RC reports, it's about $1,400 a year. We're charging the S corps that come to us under audit $750 a piece. We'll probably make between $10,000 and $20,000 with RC reports. But if you have S corp or C corp clients, they have to each year get a report, and the report is as simple as possible. RC Reports has a huge database of businesses. It will give you a report that you can rely on. And so far, to date, when we produce that report, not a single auditor has challenged it. The critical thing right now is for your clients to get that report to support the number they're taking on the return that you're taking on that return that you're signing. Best way to do it, RC Reports. Go check it out. Okay, you can find them. It's trn.rcreports.com. Again, trn.rcreports.com. Go there, you'll save $100. It will change your practice, create an annuity stream for you, and bulletproof your clients' corporate returns. The Tax Rep podcast is now proudly partnered with Nice Job, the experts in reputation marketing. Reviews are so important for attracting new clients. Before Nice Job, I would ask people to leave reviews, but they would usually forget, and I didn't have a way to stay on top and remember to follow up with them. That's where Nice Job comes in. Their smart follow-up campaign recognizes who hasn't left a review yet and automatically sends carefully timed reminders that can increase your chances of getting a review by 300%. I tried Nice Job for Tax Rep, and it's been a game changer. We added 33 five-star reviews in our first month, and our Google business profile is like a magnet for new customers. You can try Nice Job for free for 14 days and get 50% off your first 3 months by visiting nicejob.grsm.io/taxrep. nicejob.grsm.io/taxrep. I'm going to put a link in the description of the podcast. Try it. It will be a game changer for your business as well. How do I manage my tax rep practice? How do I get transcripts? How do I track what is going on with the IRS with every single one of my client cases? How do we complete the offer forms, the powers of attorney, everything? We use Tax Help software. Tax Help software is the cornerstone of our practice. We use it for its intelligent ordering. Every single night, it will update the transcripts on our clients, so we will see things happen long before those letters even go to the mail. We can then, react. We can let the client know. We can get all the transcripts we need to determine what our client's best options are, when is the debt going to expire, and we can fill in all of the IRS forms and get them filed accurately, the analysis done correctly. If you're interested in giving it a test, go to taxhelpsoftware.com, use promo code TAXREPTRIAL, all one word, all caps. You'll get a free 2-week trial. Again, that's taxhelpsoftware.com, TAXREPTRIAL, all caps, for a free 2-week trial. If you love it and want to buy it, use TAXREP10, capital, all caps, TAXREP10, TAXREP10, all caps, one word. You'll save 10% on your purchase. It will be the engine that runs your tax rep practice, just like it's what we use for ours. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on this week's Tax Rep Network podcast. I'm Eric Green. Joining me is Lindsay Pinkos, who I actually knew before she was with Out of the Box, and yet she still talks to me, so that's a good thing. But I wanted Lindsay to come on, and what Out of the Box does, it's outsourced bookkeeping, effectively. They do my bookkeeping. They do Tax Rep's bookkeeping. It's where I send my clients. And for those of Lindsay, for those folks out there who want to build a rep practice, inevitably
they start off with doing bookkeeping, they start off doing tax returns, and like the skier on the skis, everything's growing, and eventually there's going, they're starting to go, you got to pick one way or the other, but they don't want to give up their clients. And that's what I really wanted to sort of talk about today. So why don't you talk a little bit about, first of all, what is out of the box? And then, we can get into kind of the why and how.
Sure. So, well, thank you for having me today. Out of the Box is a bookkeeping firm. We're a QuickBooks solution provider. We've been in business about 30 years, and we've helped over 50,000 customers over those 30 years with their bookkeeping needs and their QuickBooks needs.
But you also do more because, for instance, I had to set up payroll with for tax rep. You guys just took care of it. Well, you took care of it. You kind of led me through what we had to do, set that up, getting paid from vendors, ACA. I mean, it's more than, I suppose you could, right? Here, we did your books, here are your books, congratulations. But it's actually much more, I found there's much more hand-holding, which someone like me needs, because I can talk about this stuff, but I don't know how to set up payroll.
Right.
It's not what I do. And it's been a fantastic service. From my perspective, there's it does my bookkeeping. Two is I can send my clients there, we can get paid, we'll get into that. But we do a lot of forensic accounting, we do a lot of criminal cases. We have a lot of clients who don't have their books and records. So for me, historically, to go get somebody, our friend Don Brolin, go get Don has to pull a whole team together because we might be talking 4, 5, 6 years, multiple entities. At our worst, I think it was 6 years, 53 different entities. And Dawn and her team were there for 3 months. Out of the Box has the ability and the scale and the size to scale up. So if I bring that kind of a job, you have a team to throw at it, where most of the bookkeepers I know do not have that kind of a team, or can't throw people at it because they have ongoing monthly, folks. So from my perspective, that's really one of the big advantages about it. So if you could, how does Out of the Box, how does it work?
Okay, so let's kind of talk about two things there, the scale and the specialization you spoke about with the skiing analogy. As businesses grow, just like an accounting business, as a small business grows, the owner gets pulled in so many directions, and they need their focus to remain on growing their business. And the things like, how do I pick a payroll vendor, my accounting ecosystem tech stack, how do I work with that? That's where we can come alongside a small business and really help alleviate and some of those strains on how do I pick, what do I do? We can help them, and we can help an accountant. We can take that off their plate so they can provide some higher level services like tax representation. And from a scalability model, we're built for scale, right? We're over 60 people in over 20 states and growing every day. So we're built to handle that volume of bookkeeping work, where a smaller accounting practice that's just a couple of folks, they're not built for that. And so it's important that they're adding the services to their clients that are those high value services. And then we can support with the bookkeeping expertise and the specialization in that area as they look to grow their client base and grow the services that they're offering without having to give up the bookkeeping piece from a revenue perspective.
Right. And that's a big deal because they don't want to lose the client. They want to have some control, and also the revenue, and that's why I think the partnering part is so important. How does it work? First of all, how do you onboard? So I'm a CPA, I'm an EA, I'm doing more and more representation, I'm doing more advisory, and I'm listening to Eric and Lindsay and everyone. I got to work on my business, not in my business. I have all these clients. What do I do? Right? How does it work? Do I just call? Do you assign somebody? Like I have somebody who is assigned to me.
Mm-hmm.
I can email her. She answers all my stupid questions. So I have a particular person versus calling into an 800 number where someone's going to help me. How does it work?
So you're correct. All of our active clients have a dedicated bookkeeper that they're going to work with, which is really nice because you're exactly as you said, some services out there, you're going to get somebody different every time. And that makes it difficult because you feel like you've got to catch them up on the story.
Yeah.
So they're going to get an account manager that's on one side of the house. That's going to be their point of contact in the beginning, right? And that's going to be the accountant's point of contact as well. So the accountant can say, hey, I've got these 5 businesses that I need to get rid of the bookkeeping. Let's work together. Then we'll do an initial kind of discovery over on our bookkeeping team to figure out what were you charging, what are you doing, and figuring out what package of bookkeeping is really going to fit the client best. And then we're going to assign the bookkeeper that's going to be the best fit for each client. And then the client communication will be held with the bookkeeper and the leadership on that team. So they're just getting that service. That's super important to us and super important to the business owner, that they're getting that continuity of service with always having the same bookkeeper.
Right. And again, you have relationships with payroll companies and others, so you can set all of that up. For the folks who want to offload, how does the partnership program work? So, there's one thing where I have you doing my bookkeeping, but what about I have clients? How much are you going to charge? How do I charge? Do you charge me? How does it work?
So for our partner program, when we work with an accountant that wants to outsource bookkeeping, we will pay you based on the number of clients per month. So you can still continue to have that reoccurring revenue. And our partner program is really a tiered model. So the more you refer, the more you earn per client.
Makes sense. Is there some sort of an enterprise? What if I actually have a lot? So the tiered program, is there a limit?
No, there's no limit.
There's no limit.
There's no limit. And if you've got businesses that we've got bookkeeping packages, right, based on the business. But if you have a business that's larger and has a lot going on like yours, we're going to scope out the customer and make sure that they're getting in a package that is going to fit their needs based on what services they want as well and how hands-off or hands-on they want to be in the accounting process.
And when it comes to large jobs like Eric Green brings in the train wreck. And again, is it something that you would just evaluate? So when I call Lynn, my person, I call Lynn and say, look, I have a client that has all this stuff. Is there a team that does that, or would it still run through my contact who would just pull in other people as needed?
Yeah, so the accountant, we're gonna assign you some of it. We're gonna pull in others, of course. That's part of that scalability that we do have to, have multiple people do some evaluation, take a look at your books. But once you're assigned, your bookkeeping is going to stay with your bookkeeper because that's going to make sure that the outcome is going to be the best for the business because they're getting that continuity.
Right. And one of the things I want the audience to think about, so on the one hand, on the surface, right, you can get your bookkeeping offloaded onto, out of the box. I can be making money. Great. Don't forget about the idea of going and getting more bookkeeping. Because now that's the part that, I have my tax rep members who would be like, great, Eric, thank you. I contacted out of the box. I got rid of the bookkeeping, and now I don't have to take that stuff. Well, wait a minute. Now you can make more money because of the tiered system. You can make more money. Why don't you go get more clients? Right?
They have to turn it away. Just because they're not doing the work doesn't mean they have to turn it away.
Well,
they just have a great partner now.
Right. Because the first thing is the relief of offloading it. But then wait a minute, you have a machine. Now the whole point is to put as much through the machine as you can. Right. And so there's actually an opportunity when you go marketing, say, look, we have an outside company. We can handle your bookkeeping, no problem. No matter how big, small, we can deal with it. And you put more through, you make more money, you move up the tiers. It works really well. The one thing I will say that just for the audience, the one thing out of the box doesn't do is they don't do like what I would call true forensic accounting, meaning they're not going to come out in the field, start reconstructing. That they don't do. They will take what you give them. And so a lot of the forensic accounting that we end up dealing with isn't so much forensic as much as there's an enormous amount of stuff that has to get in.
Yeah, cleanup work is, we call it the cleanup job. So we're doing all the cleanup work. And you haven't touched your books in, well, you have a client that hasn't touched their books in 2 or 3 years. They haven't filed their taxes in 2 or 3 years. They've got quite the web to untangle. So we can go back and help with all of that cleanup for you.
Right. So then we get a complete set of books, and then maybe the real forensic accounting begins. Here, because out of the box will do with what we give them. What they're not going to do is sit there and say, okay, well, if you think about this, maybe you can do that. That they're not going to go to. So that's when you have your CFE come in, like a Don that says, look, I see what we have. Here's what I think is missing. Now, how are we going to figure out what to use for that? That is, that's one step beyond. So out of the box is not a forensic accounting outfit. It's a bookkeeping outfit, but what it does is it frees you up to go do that kind of work. No.
I've got a question for you.
Okay.
When is the time? So I'm an accountant. I've got a bookkeeping practice, and I'm looking to expand into tax representation. When do I start to look to offload my bookkeeping customers or to partner with a firm like ours? Like, when is that tipping point in it for an accountant?
So what I tell folks is, as they start building, because I get this a lot, I'm building my representation practice. Should I sell my 1040 business? Should I sell my bookkeeper? First of all, you'll know. You'll get the sense when the skis are going like this, when you have too much to do. So the first thing I would do is talk to Out of the Box and find out, what does it financially look like? Because the truth is, we've just wrapped up the tax season. We now have 2.5 months before we get going again.
A quick 2.5 months.
The time to do it is now. So the come year end, that's off your plate. So now you're just looking at tax season, and even with tax season, when is the time to fire the DNF clients? Now, right? Well, first collect whatever you're owed, then fire them. But so the point is, I think the time to do this is when it's hard to justify doing the work. When you get to the point where it's hard for you to justify doing the bookkeeping, that's the time to offload it. Timing wise, it's great if you can do it on a year end, right? So, maybe Out of the Box can help you kind of wrap up, and then they would take over fresh. It's always difficult to come in the middle and try to sort out kind of where you are and what was and wasn't done. I mean, it can be done, but it adds time and expense to the whole thing. So if I'm listening to this, I'm thinking about now. So between now and December 31st, this would be a great time to start transitioning. And by the way, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. So, I mean, I have members that have said, Eric, I have some that, I said, listen, keep the ones that you either want to keep or think you have to keep, and the rest move. And what will happen is you eventually will get rid of all of them. All right. As you grow and grow, you shift more and more. So it's not, if you're listening to this, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It's simply, you really have to look at how you want to spend your time, how you're making your money, and what's in front of you, and find the things that it's not efficient for you to be doing. That's the stuff that goes. And as you grow more and more, it just won't be efficient to do anymore. So I think, honestly, the timing is perfect, because the timing to do this is now. If it were March or April, yeah, you can still do it, but you're already kind of a quarter in, and it gets a little bit more muddy. So I'm advising people do it now.
Okay, great.
Yeah. No. And in terms of what the economics look like, I would reach out, do the consult, have Out of the Box look at what you have. And again, you'll figure out what makes sense, what doesn't.
Yeah, I agree. Year one, the end of the year, January 1st is a great date for a lot of things. That's when we advise people to make their switch for payroll. If they're switching any kind of other provider, January 1st is just that nice, clean, easy break to start anew. So, and then New Year will be here before you know it. My team sends messages every week about how many days till Christmas, and the message today was 68 days. We only have 68 days till Christmas. So that means we've got, a little less than 80 till the end of the year. So pretty quick.
It does go quick. I know. I was but just before we started. I was complaining about getting old, and I need shoulder surgery.
Oh,
And I said to the doctor, first of all, I've never had an orthopedic doctor in my life. I now have 3 of them, and and I'm like, I've never had a shoulder injury. They're like, oh no, you've had shoulder injuries, my friend. High school and college football, you just never got injured enough to not play. So I have no cartilage left from slamming into people for 8 years, and yeah, I need to have that taken care of. And I was complaining to my dad, who's former military, martial arts, all that, and I was like, oh, I got this, I got that, whatever. And he looked at me like, I got news for you. It only gets worse. So, great. Anyway, no, I knew Lindsay before she was married. Now she 4-year anniversary. I'm looking at my 25th. It's nuts.
time flies. COVID took about 3 years from us, right? 2.5 years.
Yeah, but you got 3 years to kind of just hang out together, right? Because you were stuck together.
Yes, both working from home. So yeah.
Before you have kids, that's great. But like my oldest daughter, I can't believe, is graduating from NYU and going to JP Morgan. And where'd the time go? It flies by like that.
It really does.
But so anyway, Lindsay, if I'm listening to this, I want to get in touch with Out of the Box. How would you recommend, the folks listening do that?
Well, I think the easiest way to get a hold of us is to email hello@outoftheboxtechnology.com. Pretty simple email. And just let them know, hey, I listen to Tax Rep Network podcast and I want to learn more. And then of course you can always call, always happy to talk. Our number is 888-232-4758. So you can always also call, and happy to just have a discussion. Like Eric said, we can just see where you are right now, what customers that you might be interested in offloading, learn a little bit more about our partner program, those tiers, and how we can form a relationship and both move forward.
Right. I will put the email and the phone number in the description of the podcast. So if anyone wants to reach out to Out of the Box, highly recommend it. And again, I'm not only pitching them, I'm also a client. They do my bookkeeping because I'm so busy, I don't even balance my own checkbook. My bookkeeping, Tax Rep's bookkeeping, no, it is a great service. I'm very happy. And needed payroll, no problem, Eric. We can take care of that for you. Sales, I mean, everything I've needed to deal with, they deal with. So it's been great.
It's been great for us too. We love working with you.
Which most people don't say, but anyway. I think I think, you know what? I hate
You're great.
So I tend to be a pretty good client myself. Not always, but I try. So, all right. No, Lindsay, thank you for doing this. Again, I'll put the email and the phone number in the description. And everyone listening, I know everyone's going to take a deep breath, relax a little bit for a few days. The biggest thing is tackle your practice. If you think your practice is out of control, let's get it, under control. One way to do it is if you're doing bookkeeping, offload it. That is work that can easily be leveraged, even whether or not it allows you to go get more bookkeeping or shrink your footprint, because now I don't have to have the bookkeeping staff, the benefits, the payroll, all of that is gone, which now increases my margin, right? So there's a lot of reasons to take that and offload it. If you're on the fence, it's very simple. Go through case by case, and some of them Some clients are gonna go, some you might want to keep temporarily, and as you grow your rep practice or advisory or whatever it is, forensic accounting, whatever it is you want to do, the rest will follow. Or you can just get rid of them all at once. That works too.
That's
So.
right.
All right. Now, Lindsay, thank you for joining us. Everyone, thank you for listening in. Again, look at the links below and check out Out of the Box, and we'll see you on next week's podcast.
Thanks, Eric.
Bye-bye.
Bye.